You know, it's sort of hard to kind of point where Microsoft is at this particular point in time, like where their head's at. They do change direction quite a bit, which I think can be a little bit unfortunate. But, you know, again, there are some little bits and pieces of news that come out that I think are good for Xbox. And that's sort of where this video is headed personally. And, you know, again, you might feel differently than me. We'll see where this leads. But I think a lot of us were kind of questioning what Microsoft's plan for the future was, because they seemingly don't really have much of a plan, or the plan was some kind of weird PC hybrid thing, which I feel like would have little to no interest. I mean, I think if you go with a traditional console, you have at least an opportunity to sell maybe 20 million, 25 million units. If you go some kind of weird PC thing, I think you're selling under 15 million, maybe under 10 million at the end of the day, mainly because, you know, people that play PC like to upgrade and tinker and things like that. So having something that is basically an underpowered PC with no ability to upgrade isn't going to be appealing for PC gamers. And for console gamers, it's not going to be appealing to mess with a bunch of different storefronts and, you know, installs and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, console gamers love plug and play. This, I actually think is really great news. Probably some of the best news we've heard in a long time. So I want to get into it. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It certainly helps out the channel. It means a lot to me. I do daily gaming content, so if you guys are looking for someone to do fun yet informative videos on video games, then you found them. So this is regards to the next gen Xbox and the backwards compatibility, which allegedly is going to be at a hardware level, which means it wouldn't be PC, right? And the reason why this is interesting, because when you talk about a hardware level, that means that your full library, like for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, aside from the Kinect games, would be playable, right? When you do software backwards compatibility, that's usually through like emulation layers and things like that. And so that means you have to get approval from the licenses and things like that, and that is the big issue why Xbox and Xbox 360 backwards compatibility stopped. But anyway, following the latest Xbox announcements and rumors, fans have been worried that Microsoft's next-gen console might be a PC-like device that may not even run prior console games properly. This fear stemmed mainly from the confirmation of the Asus ROG Xbox Ally at the Game Showcase in 2025, and the subsequent rumor from The Verge's Tom Warren that Microsoft might be allowing third-party OEMs like Asus to create their own version of the next-generation console. However, Windows Central Jez Gordon has taken it upon himself to reassure gamers that backwards compatibility will be retained at a hardware level without even needing emulation. Gordon said as much in his latest episode of his podcast. Here's the relevant quote, and I quote, "I can pretty much confirm, I'm like maybe 2 or 3 sources off Reddit will report on this, but the next Xbox is like 100% or 99.999% recurring running your console games. Because I've seen the fear out there a lot at the moment where it's like, oh my god, the next Xbox won't run console games, it's only going to be a PC, it's going to be like the ROG Ally, it's going to be made by Asus, because Tom put in his article something like, I quote, I believe Microsoft will still make their own hardware. I mean, they've said they will. The thing is, Xbox has said a lot of things in the past. When Tom says, I believe they're going to make it, that exposes an issue with Microsoft's messaging. People don't really trust what they say anymore because they've gone back on their word so many times. But you know, which is again why I've been told by a bunch of people the next Xbox has silicone for Xbox One and Series X and 360 games. At least that's in the backwards, at least the ones that are in the backwards compatibility program. And then everything you own on Xbox One and Series X and S will be playable on the next Xbox. But I would not be surprised if there is an Asus ROG Gaming all-in-one that is also just a PC, like Tom said. And to be fair, Tom was one of the first people, I think, who officially reported on the idea of third-party Xbox hardware. I didn't believe it at the time, but the more I looked into it, I was like, oh yeah, he's right. So shout out to Tom for that. Now, to be fair, there were never any super worries that Microsoft would abandon its Xbox backwards compatibility focus. It has been one of the few initiatives that has earned it widespread acclaim throughout the industry, among other games. Currently, the next generation Xbox is expected to launch in the next couple of years, and Microsoft promised fans the largest technical leap between generations yet, which is, you know, a pretty lofty claim. Now, here's the interesting part. So, it looks like they're going to build a traditional console, and the whole thing with this Asus ROG Ally Xbox thing is it's just a PC handheld, and there's already a lot of those things out there in the wild. So it's really like kind of spitting in the wind at the end of the day, and I think that is a major issue that people didn't want to see that, because when you watch that introduction video to the Asus ROG Ally Xbox, whatever man, it's a mouthful. Just really bad marketing, and in my opinion, anyway, because they're like, plays games natively, your library comes with you, and all this kind of stuff. A lot of Xbox fans were still confused on that, because when it's saying you can take your your games with you, your library with you, a lot of people think, oh, so I can take my Xbox library with me, right? And so the fact of the matter is you can't. They talk up this whole backwards compatibility or this Play Anywhere stuff, and and they're like, we got over 1,000 games, but the majority of those games are like these little indie titles and things like that. Like if you're playing, Madden, or like college football or something from Ubisoft or whatever, or a lot of these other big titles, those aren't Play Anywhere. So those games don't go with you. The only thing you can play on a ROG Xbox Ally or whatever they call it is like the PC versions of games. And so that's why people were worried, because Microsoft, it does seemingly have canceled their plan for their native handheld, which would have played your library, which I think would have garnered far more interest than than what they're going to release, right? This Asus thing. Like, I just don't like the last one. The ROG Ally has sold like 500,000 units. It's really nothing in the grand scheme of things. So you wonder why they would even bother with it, to be honest with you. But so yeah, when you see this, it's nice to see that, hey, they're going to do probably a traditional console. I think you have to do something like that. The thing that I miss is, like, and I'll say this as a fan, the only way they can get me interested in the next Xbox, you have to have some kind of exclusivity. You have to have something that no other console has, and until they can do that, unless they do that, then I don't think it's going to be really a big deal, to be honest with you. So they have to be very careful about that. They have to offer something. I don't think Game Pass is enough in and of itself. I know people might not like that I say that, but it's just the truth. You have to be able to have different things there to appeal to people, and unless you do, then you're kind of DOA, and putting all your games on PlayStation isn't going to help very much at all, in my opinion. So I guess we'll kind of see how that kind of works out. I'm happy to hear that, hey, you know what, they're at least working on something that is more familiar to gamers and things like that, because that's mass marketable. You have a console, even without exclusives, you have a chance to do something like maybe what you've done now, 25 million lifetime or whatever. So you at least have that opportunity. And then whatever you have that currently have a Series X or S, of course, those are going to be playable well into the future as well. So you really kind of double that, like if you have 30 million of those plus 25 million of the next Xbox, you have 55, 60 million people on your console still, regardless of which one it is. I think that still would be a good number to have, as opposed to the really low number of people who would be interested in some kind of PC thing or whatever. To be honest, I don't see the reason why you would do some kind of Asus OEM thing. I think that'd be confusing. It's like something like, if you look into the history of gaming with like the 3DO sort of did stuff like that. I don't think that stuff went over very well. Clearly the 3DO wasn't a smash success or anything. And I think Xbox, I think the main thing that people need from Microsoft is to actually care about their platform, their own platform. Like if you're putting physical games of your games out on the competition but not your own, that's a mistake. Having worse versions on your own hardware, that's a mistake. There's a lot of things that they do that it seems like they really don't care. They're not advertising at all. It's funny because I was watching some old movies and stuff, and you see Xbox everywhere. And I can remember I used to watch this show called Smallville back in the day, and they had a Connect on there for the original Xbox 360 in an episode before the thing even released. They actually had their stuff and product placement and commercials and advertising, and they tried to do things and market things that way, and it was very successful for them. Mostly with the Xbox 360, but it's because people saw that they actually cared about the product, and I hope that they can get to that point again. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.